Good morning and welcome to Behind the Screen. I am JM, and this is a show where we hang out and we talk about things that inspire us, things that are beautiful, things that we love about gaming and literature and fantasy, and that is what we're here talking about today. Good morning to Tink and Grom and Padre and James. It is good to see all of you. So one of the main things of Elric that comes to mind when people know about Elric is the Black Blade Stormbringer, daughter of Auriok, sister of Mournblade, slayer of Elric. But the thing is that before we get to Stormbringer, we should look at the other sources of what we'll call intelligent weapons. Now, there have always been magical weapons, Excalibur, Roland's sword, Durandal, things like that. But there have been several intelligent weapons in fantasy and in fiction that I think bear mentioning because I think they might have inspired or at least formed something that Michael Moorcock was reacting to when he created Elric. So one might find to be the earliest or one of the earliest talking weapons is actually out of the Finnish epic, the Kalevala, in the story of Kullervo. Kullervo is lives a very tragic life, and he ends up having the sword, and finally he talks to the sword and is like, do you want to drink my blood because I've just taken the life of a just man? And the sword replies to Kullervo, just or unjust, it means all the same to me. I just want to drink blood. And Kullervo ends his life on his talking sword. And yes, Padre, that being the direct inspiration for the story of Túrin Bar's talking sword, the black sword in the Children of Hurin, who at the very end, Túrin calls out to the sword, and the sword said, yes, I'll take your life because you took the life of Beleg, the master that I loved. And so it's only fitting that because you used me to spill his blood that I get to spill yours. So we have these two very highly tragic figures whose lives are ended by an intelligent talking sword. And with Stormbringer, Michael Moorcock, with Elric, gives us another hopelessly tragic hero with a talking weapon that speaks to him, I think, for the first and only time. Right after Stormbringer kills Elric, takes his soul, and says, farewell, brother, I was 1,000 times more evil than thee, before turning into a demon bat thing and flying away. And so that's what we want to talk about. So there is this tradition in fantasy games, especially now, of intelligent blades that steal souls. And Túrin is, every time I start the Children of Hurin, I say to myself, this time it'll be different. I'm actually listening through the Horus Heresy, and I'm like, this time it'll be different. Hope springs eternal. Anyway, starting in one of the very first editions of the game, in AD&D first edition, we have intelligent weapons. Intelligent weapons that have their own intelligence and ego, which we'll get back to, and alignment. And much like Stormbringer was completely aligned with Chaos, daughter of Auriok, weapons in AD&D could be intelligence and could have alignments. And if your alignment didn't match, one of several things could possibly happen. Either you just take damage, or, and we see this in Elric, sadly quite a bit, the fact that Stormbringer would often turn in Elric's hands, overpowering Elric's will to drink the souls of those closest to him. And I think that's where Gary Gygax got the idea for ego in the original AD&D. The fact that an intelligent blade has its own wants and needs and goals, and if you're not aligning with it, it can overpower your character and force them to act in a certain way at a certain time. I think there's something that feeds into the whole theme of addiction in Elric, in the fact that we want the power of the magic sword, but we want the sword to bend our will. And the thing with creatures like Stormbringer or the intelligent weapons out of, AD&D is the idea that no, power is not neutral. Power is not amoral. Power has a morality to its use, and that's exemplified in intelligent weapons like Stormbringer. Elric continually tries to put the blade down, but always in the moment is the most expedient path to get both the physical power and the power to achieve his goals that he can attain. And he takes it up despite the fact that every time he bears the blade, someone close to him dies. I love that. Yes, Padre, it also the source of the Chaos Rune Blades. We'll talk, I think maybe our final episode, well, we'll talk a little bit more about like alignment and Warhammer and kind of this idea of the frail hero on Tuesday, our last episode for the year. But yes, the Chaos Rune Blades in Warhammer. Warhammer has so much, we'll call it more cocky and metaphysics spread throughout it that it's hard not to draw those conclusions and those parallels. Hey, John Doom, I am very glad to hear that you are alive. Yes, the Gemmel books have those as well. Morning, Ross. Big thanks to Ross. Ross sent me a little Christmas present. Caer Nathalis, Into the Midnight Throne. It is a solo RPG. And that's something I was going to ask. Would you guys be at all interested in 2026 if I did a couple of behind the screens doing a solo RP and kind of see how this plays out? Oh, heading into your favorite magic item of all D&D. Every fighter you made was broadsword. Because which one is that for you? Which intelligent blade is the one that you want, Femi? Black Tongue Thief has that. Yeah. Archeon's blades. Woof. Oh yes. No. And then I've got first edition Stormbringer right there. Yes, Black Razor. So Black Razor, I knew where you were going to, is kind of the quintessential one from D&D, which is just amazing. And let's just say Black Razor definitely has so many parallels to Stormbringer. But I think that's the other thing to remember is there were two blades. There's Stormbringer and Mournblade. And man, that's fantastic. So the other place that I would say that really is heavily influenced by this idea of Stormbringer, and I would say even farther along, more truer to the roots than even what we see in the D&G or things like Black Razor are the rune weapons from Palladium fantasy. So rune weapons were made during the times of 1,000 magics invented by the dwarves, and in fact is the dwarvish magic that was considered so anathema to what the dwarves now believe that it is the reason they forswore using magic ever again in this world. And rune magic in Palladium, it also is in Rifts. If you're a fan of Rifts, you can go to Atlantis and find this as well. But rune magic is terrible because it involves the sacrifice of a living soul into the blade to empower it. So every rune weapon in existence was accomplished through murder. And the sacrifice of a soul to power the magic. And the reason I say these might be closer to Stormbringer is while they do not, they can telepathically communicate with their owners, and much to my chagrin, in my Tuesday game, the group is running through the Place of Magic and has found a trio of rune weapons, and now there are 3 more NPCs that I constantly have to play. A Mary Poppins blade, a blade that nobody can really tell what's going on because he's a pathological liar, And then the Patrick Warburton Eternity Sword, who is definitely one of the group's favorites. All right, well, I will definitely consider how I would want to do a solo RP like trio of sessions using Caranathalis next year. I think that would be a fun thing to do, and maybe do a solo RPG month. Call it, Soul Angelary or something like that. Oh yes, with the Defilers, that is a great story. And yes, the sword that was actually the former King of Hell. I love that. I love the idea of giving, and actually Tink has the Eternity Blade in my Tuesday night group and is completely unaware of the dangerous. She's been warned of the curse, but she has no idea what the curse is. I think that's important with these. What we see in these blades is that either through use, such as in the case of Túrin or Kullervo, or through their origin, in the case of rune weapons, Black Razor, Stormbringer, and Mournblade, what we have here is a cursed weapon, but not cursed in the idea of, oh, I can't set it down or it gives me negative penalties. Cursed in the fact that there is a supernatural influence running counter to the goals of the player character or the protagonist. And yet the power that this supernatural entity offers them, this magical blade, is too great to turn away from. I don't know of a spoonful of murder helps the sorcerer. Yeah, no, that is 100% correct there, Femi. Welcome. This is just fantastic. You are in the right place with comments like that. Yes, Crater Lake Chronicles from Deadlands. You have a cursed wand of Speak with Dead in Pharaoh Mist. That's fantastic. Dream Shaper, good to see you. So this is a staple, and I think what's interesting, especially in gaming, is blades like Stormbringer or rune weapons or intelligent weapons with ego. This is the rope that as GMs, players just like somebody at Home Depot pulling, chain off the spool. If you give something like this to a player, they are going to pull more than enough rope to hang themselves. In my Wednesday night Palladium fantasy game, the group uncovered a sword called Dreadfangs. They found it. A wizard had moved a floating tower on top of this blade. It had been buried in the stone. The bottom of the tower rested on top of the blade, and the tower was chained in place to keep the blade from being drawn. So, of course, the players freed the tower, and now one of them is carrying around this sword called Dreadfangs, which has a ton of necromancy spells in it. And it sucks souls. The group seems totally A-okay with this. And that's beautiful, because with weapons like this or items like this, you can put a timer on it. And I love timers. I love things that ramp up. What Evan doesn't know is that every 5 souls, and I'm keeping track of this, every 5 souls that this blade drains, the sword is going to change slightly. There will be visions, there will be portents, there will be omens, but he's also growing more attached to the sword as the sword grows in power. That's game drama that you can't find anywhere else. Like, I love the ability to, this is inherently sort of a moral and ethical choice. Like, do you pick up this blade, which consigns we didn't even talk about my favorite of the intelligent or of the magical soul drinking swords, Dragnapur from the Malazan series. Well, not intelligent. It definitely is a soul draining weapon with its own goals and purposes, right? In fact, Anomander is sort of castigated by people for not having more people drink, or not having the blade drink more souls because of the goal of the sword. Tearfing is another great one. Yes, I forgot about the conversation around Tearfing. And, you know, I mean, Tearfing is also forms the basis of the Gauntlet games. So that is, that's always fun. I don't remember there being an intelligent sword in the King of Elfland's Daughter. Let me know about that, Padre. It is a little like this, like Spawn's cowl. Yes, Jason, that is actually one of the things that I was thinking about as well. John Doom, that's just good gameplay. Like, yeah, that's just good gameplay. So that's our look at intelligent weapons, kind of where they came from. I really do think that Elric changes the game and elevates the tragic hero's tragic cursed blade to a whole new level. And then writers like Kevin Simbita and Gary Gygax pick up on that Stormbringer legacy and translate it into some very fun mechanics. And I hope I gave you some ideas on how to use these blades in your game. Because again, no one wants a cursed sword. Everyone wants a powerful, intelligent sword. It's the honey trap for your players. Here's this intelligent, super powerful sword. It's probably fine. They think it's an NPC. They think they can pick it up and they can talk with it and nothing bad will ever happen. It's like the players who always adopt the goblin and then are horrified when the goblin starts eating fingers off of people when it gets hungry. You're the guys who brought along the talking sword, man. I don't know what to say. I would love to hear that story, Grom. So anyway, that is, we'll have one more of these very Melnibonean, very merry Melnibonean midwinter celebrations before we break for the year. That'll be on Tuesday. Yes, Madness Honey Traps. Thank you, Padre, for that callback. Madness Honey is one of my favorite things in Jackals. And, oh, yeah. I will, Jason, that's 100% the case, right? Like, RuneQuest has amazing spirit weapons as well, which makes sense because they went on to do the Stormbringer game. Tink says people who adopt talking swords and goblins are cat owners. It's probably true. It's really this half of the table, and I think this half of the table on Tuesday night are the cat people, and this half are the dog people. So, well, that's it. Until next week, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, stay gaming. I hope you guys are all having a great holiday season, and I will see you all next week. Until then, everybody, have a good one. And if you remember the iconic Patreon, we will be playing our Ascendant one-shot in New Helios City. I'm very excited about January 2026. We're going to be talking about a term that I like that somebody else did a video on, which I will link when we start talking about it, but is how I prep for gaming and has really kind of helped refine my prep process. We're going to talk about building toys. So I'm looking forward to that in 2026. All right, everyone. Until next time, have a good one. I'll talk to you all later. Bye.